Hey folks, this is Editor Rheyo here. I just wanted to address that if you're clicking on this video or you're looking at this video, I know it is extremely long. But with the content in this video and the whole purpose of this video, I wanted to keep everything in here because I just feel like it has some valuable nuggets that if you are struggling at any of the bosses that I go over, you could maybe learn a thing or two or try a different method or think about things in a slightly different way. So I do have timestamps in the video description if you want to skip to a specific boss. So I hope you enjoy. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am going to be posting a follow-up to the video I posted last week where I just did a bunch of bosses and kind of gave quick rundowns of how to do these bosses while using tier 70 gear and tier 85 weapons. I've made some changes, I've taken some feedback between Reddit and YouTube, and I wanted to apply it to this video and kind of just show it as a little bit of a progress video of sorts. So to give some clarification on some of the feedback that I got last time, I think some people really misunderstood the point of my last video, and which is understandable, but also just wanted to clarify that it was never intended as like a get good video. I don't really know how it was taken like that, but nevertheless, it was taken like that, and that is just not the point of what the video was. It was essentially just showing that with some practice, things are possible. Another point of feedback that was mentioned is that whenever YouTubers post videos like this, they don't clarify that becoming experienced takes time. That is kind of just self-explanatory, I feel like, especially if you play RuneScape. This game has never been an overnight success kind of game that you play. Everything takes time, so I didn't really feel like that needed to be mentioned. But from that, there were some very good points of feedback, and that was using Revolution would probably be more beneficial to a learner because that's probably where people are starting from. And with the way that GP is kind of nowadays, if someone were to start at Croesus, they just had to do that for a few hours and then have a decent helping of starter cash. So I took all that into consideration and just kind of went with the assumption that if you did Croesus or bossing, or say you followed my previous video for X amount of hours, you would have gotten a decent amount of money. So with everything being said, I wanted to go over the upgrades that I've allowed myself and the budget that I gave myself. And that budget was 200 mil. So that sounds like a hefty chunk. It is a pretty big chunk if you are not used to saving that much money, but it is a very realistic figure. If you were to just say grind Croesus for 10 hours or grind any boss, you would probably be able to hit that figure with just a little bit of luck on your side. So that's the figure that we went with, and the reason why is because mainly we wanted to give ourselves Greater Barge, and I'll go over that in just a moment. We got Greater Barge, which was about 120 mil. We got the tier 85 Dark Ice weapon set, which is tier 88 damage but tier 85 accuracy, but it also splits the cooldown of Hurricane and Destroy, and it allows you to use both of those with dual wield, Hurricane being the main thing that you unlock by using these. This was about a 50 mil set. We've got the Jaws of the Abyss, which comes in at around 10 mil. The Scripture of Jas, which is about 15 mil. So Greater Barge with all these was about 290, 295 mil. And I spent the remainder on these 4 perks. I got Enhanced Devoted 4, Crackling 4, Equilibrium 4 for my weapon gizmo, and then Precise 6 Genocidal for my other weapon gizmo. Each of these are give or take up to a mil each. So it came out at almost exactly 200 mil. Also in my previous video, I wanted to mention that a couple people mentioned that it was kind of a stretch that I was using Adrenaline Renewals and Elder Overloads. So it's actually not really that much of a stretch if you are maxed Herblore or if you're 99 Herblore, because it takes level 106 to make Elder Overload potions, but if you are level 96, you can use a Pulse Core boost of 8 to make Elder Overload potions. And if you are 99, that just kind of secures that a little bit more. Now with Adrenaline Renewal potions, all you need to be able to make is the tier 2 version of an adrenaline potion by yourself. So you can't boost the super adrenaline potion, but you can boost adrenaline renewals. And the only part of the supplies for adrenaline renewals that are not viable would be the super adrenaline potions, which only take 87 Herblore. So if you can make super adrenaline potions, then you have all of the required levels to make adrenaline renewal potions if you were to get an Herblore assist from anyone with 115 Herblore or above. And that is not an unrealistic thing to ask. I have assisted many people in War's Retreat just to make some adrenaline renewals. And the very final thing to mention is that I took a Revolution bar from the wiki. This is pretty much copy and paste right from the wiki. The only thing that I took out was Berserk. The The reason why I took out Berserk is because that is something I want to have control over. I don't want Revolution to be automatically queuing that for me. For the most part, I'm just going to try and let Revolution take the wheel and just be a little bit hands off. So it's going to be difficult for me because normally I'm not, but I'm going to try and keep that into consideration. All right, so first up is Vindicta. I am also going to be using a Berserker aura. I forgot to mention that before. So I'm going to go in here. I'm already buffed up. I'm going to Zerk, Adrenaline Renewal, Target Cycle, Barge, and then I'm just going to let my Revolution kind of take the wheel here. I mean, so far, dang, I didn't even get purple. Like, I'm literally hands off. I am not doing anything right now. It's camping Soul Split and just letting it do its thing. What I am going to do is I'm going to click out of here. I'm just going to click on Vindicta. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea to shield swap because I am taking quite a bit of damage. Dang, dude. Yeah, that was good, dude. A sub 1 minute. I'm going to try that again. I just realized I forgot to turn on my book. So that should help this time as well. I'm going to weapon swap. Yeah, that'll be good for just upkeeping some health. Surge. Get rid of that. Yeah. Oh, kind of in there. All right, a little bit slower, but still. This is very, very, very good. Very big improvement from the last setup for sure. Just to briefly go over what I was doing there, I wasn't putting in much inputs at all. All I had to do was make sure I was overloaded, I had my book activated, and that my prayers were on, which, as you can see, I was forgetting for the first few seconds in both of those kills. But you have all those things on. Once you enter the instance, all you have to do is when Vindicta is about to spawn. If you don't know the timing, that's okay. It is something that you just kind of get used to over time. As Vindicta is about to spawn, you want to Berserk, Adrenaline Renewal, Target Cycle, and use Greater Barge. What that'll do is that pretty much is just lossless time when you're killing the boss. You want to be able to attack the boss the moment the timer starts, essentially. That way you can just maximize your kills per hour. If you care about that, it's not required, but it's just, you know, if you can get a couple more kills per hour, then you're just going to ideally make more money per hour. But if that's not really a factor to you, then don't worry about it. It's typically not a factor to me. So after that, when you barge, you get a buff on your bar that will make it so that your next channeled ability will be bled instead. So when I say I bleed assault or I bleed destroy, what that means is I've done mutated barge and then I get this little provoke icon on my bar. And so when I use assault, instead of being animation locked for the 4 hits, it will instead do the dismember animation. And the 4 hits of assault will then be hitting the target over time in the same amount of time that it would take to be animation locked and doing the ability, except I'm not animation locked, which means I'm able to use Hurricane and Destroy and whatever other ability simultaneously while the hits of assault are going off. So that is why Mutated Barge is a very, very, very strong ability. The difference here in the rotation is that I just have to watch out for the second mechanic, the You Will Bleed, and I'll just want to make sure that I do resonance for that because that's just going to hit a lot and I want to make sure that I heal that instead. So that's going to be the thing that really sustains me throughout this fight. And a benefit here is with this dual wield set, I have access to Hurricane. So that's going to make clearing the minions very, very simple, or at least make it easier. I'm going to Zerk now, Target Cycle, Barge, and then just let it go. All right, and then after this, I'm going to swap to my shield. There we go. I swap back and I just let Revolution do its thing. One more basic, swap to Prey Melee, and I'm going to Devo here. So this one is a little bit more input intensive. And then I can Freedom off the bleed. And he's going to spawn his minions. We should be fine if this Hurricane hits. Okay, I missed the hit, but Helwyr's almost dead anyway, so. Nice. So much better. We pretty much got that done in 1.5 rotations. Like, well, mechanic cycles. That was very, very good. All right, we're going to do this one more time for good measure. Something that would help here is weapon poison, but I just didn't put it on this time. It's actually going a lot better than the first time because we ended up getting a book proc right away. So we had a lot of damage go through on that. Dang. First kill was about a minute. This one was, yeah, 57 seconds. And this kill was 45.6. And that time I didn't swap to shield. I just prayed melee. So 2 major differences there were that I did just swap to pray melee, and I didn't use a global cooldown on resonance, and then I also had the book proc right away. Very, very big difference. 15-second difference. So some of you might be thinking, if you just got 200 mil in upgrades, why am I still just doing God Wars Dungeon 2 bosses? And that's a fair thing to say. I will say that if God Wars Dungeon 2 is all that you're comfortable doing, there's no shame in that. I was personally only comfortable doing Vindicta and Helwyr when I was using Trim Masterwork and Dual Dragors. The hardest boss aside from that was Araxor. Basically, the bosses that I went over in my previous video were what I was comfortable doing with the setup that I just explained. That is just where I come from. And if you don't believe me, go and check out episode 1 of Maxing Melee on my channel. I ended up getting my first sub 1 minute Vindicta kill with Trim Masterwork and Dragors. And I beat that PR with this current setup that you're watching right now. So anyway, I digress. But now what I want to do is I actually want to see if I can pull a Raksha kill. I actually did try this with the previous video and it was very hard. I could not get past where I could not get past phase 1. I was just struggling too hard. But this is a decent setup, so maybe, just maybe, I could make it. Now, granted, is this a easy boss? By no means, no. Especially in this setup. I was struggling in almost best in slot gear when I was learning this boss. But is it possible? Let us see. I mean, so far so good. This is not too shabby, honestly. Very minimal input. Okay, we got it to the rockfall phase. That's sick. All right, I am going to override here because I want to make sure that I can get... oh, that's not the ability I meant to use. I'm not used to these keybinds at all. I'm going to override because I do want to build up to have enough for Berserk. This might not be a good idea, but we're going for it. Okay, this is not too shabby. Oh gosh, this is going to be very difficult. Yeah, I signed already. Yeah, so I would need to find out a solution for this. So I would need to figure out a solution for pools if I'm kind of limiting myself to this 200 mil setup. But from what it seems like, that was very minimal input. Actually, I don't want to say minimal input. That was pretty input intensive if you are prayer flicking, which I highly advise prayer flicking if this is your setup. So I would need a Lanikia's Spear, which I'm not too sure. Let me just see how much that is. Oh, 15 mil. Maybe I'll consider just making that little adjustment. All right, so you know what? Just for the sake of testing it out, I'm going to afford myself this little exception, the Lanny Spear that bought for about 14 mil. Now, granted, Raksha will take, if you're going to use this method, the Lanikia's Spear, it will take unlocking Bladed Dive. It's a few hours at Shattered Worlds, which, you know, might sound like a big grind to some, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not that bad. So if you are planning to do Raksha with melee, then I would highly suggest this. Or really any style, I would highly suggest this because this is a very effective way of clearing pools. All right, so I have the Lanny Spear. I don't have it augmented or anything like that, just because I'm just not trying to really worry about making this too far-fetched. I just wanted something that I could use Bladed Dive for, that is a halberd that I could clear pools with, or at least get me to the pools so I can like cleave them down or something. So I updated the preset to have a Power Burst of Vitality because that is going to help during the rock falls, and that's pretty much all I did. So honestly, with how well those phases were doing, and like I said, pretty hands-off except for the prayer flicking, I'm almost positive that this is a very realistic method. So I'm going to be giving this quite a few tries. Oh, nice. We got a book proc right away, too. That's always very nice feeling. Yeah, we're off to a much better start for sure. Oh, crap. I didn't know that the pool was still there. Okay, we're still going to go for it, though. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Now we're doing good. Okay, I'm probably going to off a little bit early. I already got my laceration boots on. There we go. Oh, yeah, this is good. Oh, maybe it's not. Oh, gosh, this is almost bad. Oh, my prayer ran out. Oh, frick. That's not good. So, I mean, pools weren't the best. Death cost only 20k. That's pretty sweet. But, you know, the fact that they're not dying kind of is bad, but being in the area, so like I can dive to them and then finish them with a cleave is still good. Because if I kill them, if I kill the one that I bladed dived on, excuse my poor English, then it'll reset the cooldown of bladed dive. So that's truly what matters there. It will get harder if that phase goes on because he'll heal more, but as long as I can get it down, I should be able to get to phase 4. And if I'm in phase 4, then I can sustain there kind of as long as I need to. All right, we have the right prayer set up. We have the right switch bar. We're going to make sure that we are doing resonance swapping to save on some food because autos here hit for quite a bit, so I can heal quite a bit. And yeah, we're just going to give this another shot. I am overriding a little bit here because I want to make sure that I get all of my destroy off before I have to move. Oh, that was bad. But it's going to be fine, I think. Oh, this is going to be chancy. Oh, no. Kelly? Okay. All right, that was rough. Okay, so I am going to overwrite a little bit in the beginning, and I'm going to queue my destroy so my decimate doesn't go off. Because if my decimate goes off before destroy, if I just let it automatically roll, then what's going to happen is I'm going to either be missing out on a hit from destroy before I have to move from his tail swipe, or I'll hit that last hit, but I'll be either very close or I'll get hit by the tail swipe, similar to how that just happened, which is ironic because I I did what I said I'm gonna do. But either way, if it works out ideally, it should work out better. Yeah, there we go. That worked out a lot better. I'm gonna go ahead and do slaughter here. I kind of had to overwrite slaughter. I want to see if I can get him to move like that, so I can get triple damage from slaughter. And then I'm gonna freedom here. Oh, man, that sucks. Didn't think I was in range of that. Oh, I'm also not using Ripper Demon. I forgot to respawn one. That would help quite a bit, actually. Nope. Oh, that feels bad. Oh, my prayer's out. What the... So there is one change that I'm going to make to my setup here, and that is going to be bringing spiritual prayers instead of super restores. I was thinking about not doing this at first because I thought spiritual prayers were like 40k, but they're actually not too much more expensive than super restores. Super restores are 20k or 21k. Spiritual prayers are 26k. So it's marginally cheaper or marginally more expensive, but the benefit is that it restores your familiar special bars, so it will use their scrolls more often, and that's very strong on a Ripper Demon. There we go, using my defensives a little bit more. I've been kind of avoiding them, but I don't know why I've been doing that. They're very beneficial. Okay, I'm just going to get ready for pools. It might have been too early. Because of the setup that I'm doing this with, I'm going to beat up the Shadow Manifestation because that will reduce my overload timer. Oh no, I was doing so good. Okay, I mean that was a decent run. But yeah, this is definitely a challenge, but it's not impossible. So I'm definitely keen on getting this done. And my deaths are only 20k, so plus that of a Ripper and supplies. Okay, I might have to redo a few of these. Oh gosh, need to be careful here. Please heal. Yeah, bro. All right, we're almost there, almost there, almost there. Oh, 200k. Okay, this is good. This is good. Always remember to recall your Reaper right here, or your Reaver right here. No, your Ripper. Oh my gosh. Hello? Because they always get caught behind the little pillar thing right here. Okay, damage isn't horrible. Yeah, damage is good. Damage is good. All right, and then I'm going to go around and then gather my anima. I probably shouldn't have zerked before I came in here. Okay, then I'm going to zerk and I'm going to barge. Okay, and that was kind of pointless because I didn't make enough adrenaline for my, what's it called? My threshold. Oh, got to recall the Ripper. Nope. Oh, no. Dang it. So close, dude. I lingered way too long. Way too long, but I'm determined. I'm so close to getting this. This is exactly how my range kills went when I was doing Reckless Ranger. My beginner range kills with that setup were very similar to this and took maybe less time. Yeah, that's very reminiscent of how that series is going right now. Yes, dude. Okay, sweet. We're doing good. Okay, gotta remember to get the Ripper in here, and I'm not gonna zerk. And I'm gonna be playing it safe here. I'm not gonna take any unnecessary risks. Oh, crackling coming in clutch. That is so great. I'm just going to be playing it safe till next shield.
I could gather more of the shadow anima, but everything's going fine. His shield's not going to be any bigger than it was last time. So I just got to make sure I don't make any silly mistakes. Okay, shield. Yeah, this should be secure, bro. Not going to gather anima because we have this spec going off in just a moment. Yeah, dude, this is it. Yes, dude. Oh, that's so good. That is so good. I'm pretty excited about that. Dude, I mean, I would say minor upgrades, but no, the upgrades that we made here were pretty big. Now, I will just address the elephant in the room if you are a viewer that has seen the other video, where you can essentially semi-AFK Rheyo this boss with the Abyssal Scourge setup that ItzCrayonz released. That is a more expensive setup than what I am using here. That is definitely a good video to check out. I'll go ahead and link that Reddit thread in the video description if you wanted to check that video out after this video. But like I said, it does have a higher buy-in. This is a cheaper buy-in, but a less optimal way of doing Raksha. But if Raksha is a boss that you want to learn and this is around your budget, then this is very possible and very doable. So the next boss that I actually want to attempt in this video, and the final boss that I want to attempt in this video, is possibly a stretch, but maybe not. That is normal mode Zuk. Just getting a full 100% run without banking, but doesn't have to be flawless. So the goal of doing that is just to get the igneous stone so we can add that to our kiln cape. So if you have the kiln cape, then this is a very good melee cape. It is best in slot until you get the Zuk stone. And once you get the Zuk stone, you will be able to make it into the igneous calquette. So with this setup or a similar setup for ranged or magic, I would highly suggest that this be your next upgrade, because if you already have your kiln cape, this is one of the most powerful free upgrades that you could do for yourself. Overpower for melee will make it cost, instead of 100%, 60%, and instead of it hitting 200% to 400% ability damage once, it will do that twice. With all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and adjust my inventory a little bit, and I'm going to do a different method that, if you have not done this before, I highly suggest it. Blood Reaver has a special called Blood Siphon that will transfer essentially 1,000 of its HP to you. So essentially it has 20 uses before it dies, and you get a 20k heal. What you can do is you can bring runes for the Prism of Restoration from the Ancient Spellbook, and whenever it gets low, it will heal up your familiar to full. This is essentially infinite food for you. You can take as long as you want in these Zuk waves. There's no time limit. So as long as you find a safe spot and you need to heal up, you can use this Blood Reaver to heal you all the way back up to full, and then start pulling mobs one at a time. I actually have a Zuk luring guide for hard mode with ranged, and I'm going to be performing the same exact lures here with melee. I am going to use Lanny's spear because that will be helpful for reaching over the walls. It'll just help with clearing some ads a little bit easier, and because I afforded myself that little benefit this episode, then I'm just going to go ahead and use it all the way through. There are a couple upgrades here that you could use to benefit you further, and that is changing out the helmet to the obsidian helmet if you want to, and then charging it with Tuckle at the cauldron if you've unlocked that, and that will reduce your damage intake by a further 10%, making it reduce the damage intake from the whole entire encounter by 19%. So that is a very strong buff. This is my setup for Zuk that I have right here. I'm going to be banking the Tuckle Zol after I go to the cauldron and buff myself. I'm going to be using the Penance Aura here. And the reason why is because I'm not giving myself access to the Blessed Flask, and I'm not going to be using Penance Powder because that's quite a big investment and I don't think it's necessarily needed. Now I also have my Blood Reaver on a 7-second auto fire rate, which means it will heal me up for 1,000, taking away 1,000 of its HP every 7 seconds if I have HP to heal. So because of that, I have to make sure that I'm paying very close attention to its health so I can summon this Prism of Restoration, and just in case it dies, I bring a second binding contract. I just did this, it died, and it really messed me up, so I just updated the preset to have a binding contract in there as well. So that should help me in a pinch, but this is what we're going with, and here we go. So something that you want to kind of just prioritize in general when you're doing this is each set of waves has a primary style. So the first 5 are going to be melee based, 6 through 10 are going to be ranged based, and 11 through 15 are going to be magic based. And so what I mean by prioritizing off style is I just had 2 rangers in this melee wave, so I wanted to make sure that I got them down so I could comfortably lure all the melee guys, no problem. That way I'm not praying against one style and then taking damage 100% from the other style. So this is going to be our comfy corner for pretty much the remainder of the fight because this is a good way to lure all the adds, whether they're from ranged or they're melee distance, they all come to this area. So we have 2 rangers here, and I got the first ranger within melee distance here. So I'm going to prioritize getting him down. I'm going to let this melee guy come to me, and I want to get this bat. Sometimes you do have to take damage from multiple styles, so I'm just going to kind of take it from this guy, and then I'm going to get the ranger. Bats always get priority because they drain your prayer like crazy as well. But now we're in a good spot. So now I just got to lure these guys one by one and I'll be in good shape. And it's very, very good idea that like every 2 or 3 waves, you want to summon that crystal just to make sure that your familiar doesn't die. And also halberds are good because I can safely attack the melee guys and soul split and heal back up. Now we have the special wave or the pre-special wave, basically the beefed up version of each style. There's going to be 3. So with the melee guys, I'm just going to lure them in one by one and deal with them one by one. This is probably the easiest one to deal with because you can make it so you're only being attacked by one at a time. But now that I have this volcanic geyser here, I want to kind of be careful, or I want to kind of like not sit in it. So I'm going to get in here and get a little bit chancy and just do some AoEs and get these guys down a little bit and clear them out. All right, so I have one more ad to deal with. You could just spend your time clearing all the ads. You don't have to. There's just no harm in doing it. That way you don't have any extra factors to deal with while you're setting up for Zuk. But what I'm doing here is I'm just making sure I'm at 100% adrenaline. If you have vuln bombs, this is when I would use those vuln bombs. That way you don't have to worry about it during your burst phase because your burst phase is only a certain amount of time. First challenge is going to be the very hardest to get. But like I said, you don't need a flawless run. All you need to do is beat it without banking. So that's what we're prioritizing. A little bit conservative with my cooldowns here because I'm definitely going to get this burst. No problem. All right, so I'm going to barge on the first minion, and then I'm not going to release it. I'm going to release it on the second minion, and that should deal with it. There we go. I'm going to try and be as fast as I can here. I may have just... dang it. That was tough, but it's okay. Like I said, we don't need flawless, so we're fine. Now here, we have a bunch of rangers that we had to deal with. So I'm going to go ahead and just spawn a crystal here, and I'm going to try and lure them all into place and just start dealing with them before the meleeers spawn. There we go. Yep, this is a good situation. And so we're pretty much just dealing with them one at a time. And so the meleeer is going to come up next, and I'm in the spot that's 1 square away. So I can just put on my halberd and pretty much soul split. Just heal back up. There we go. Now with Jads, when you're doing melee, I would say you want to camp protect from melee while you're not deflecting from another style, because his melee attacks will go off pretty quick. You can flick if you want to, but I would just say if you're not comfortable, then just camp melee until you see another animation like a magic or a ranged hit. All right, so now we are on the range styles. So I'm going to try and prioritize getting all of the adds from the off style as possible. It's going to be a little bit difficult here. I'm going to do my best. And whenever I can Devo, I'm going to go ahead and Devo, and I'm going to try and extend it by getting as many monsters down as I can. Get the mage, because I'm completely invulnerable to range while Devo is up. And then I'm probably going to do a reflect here in just a moment. That way I can just camp a little bit out here and not have to worry about dying. Make sure I'm paying attention to my familiar. There we go. Not too shabby. Shield swaps are so good. So good. Highly, highly recommend just bringing one, and you will see the power that his shield has. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of wait for a second here because I'm only being attacked by one. I have a lot of adds to deal with, but my devotion is almost up. So I'm just going to wait for my devotion to come up a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to proc devotion, get this mage down, and then I'm going to go back behind this wall, and I'm going to try and lure these zills closer to me so that way I can deal with them without having to deal with the meleeer. There we go. We actually got that. That's good. Okay, so plan went a little bit differently, but it still worked out, which is great. So now I can safely deal with this Zill without being attacked by the others as well. And I've moved these guys, so their idle buff that increases their damage over time reset. All right, there we go. That is all of the rangers done with the pre-second special. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to build up to 100% adrenaline. Just make sure I can do my Zerk rotation. I am there. I'm going to do the same exact thing as I did in the first round. Even though I missed the first challenge, I'm still going to try and, get this better, because if I can get this now, then it just will give me an understanding for when I want to try the flawless run. All right, this guy is very, very tanky. So he's going to just pretty much block a percentage or a certain amount of your damage up front. This actually might be very hard to do with this setup because I don't think you really hit hard enough. We're going to miss this challenge. which is okay. It's no stress at all. But now we have the double Jad wave. So we want to make sure that we are chilling in this corner right over here, this specific corner. So we really want to be careful with how far we go because you can see Jad is able to attack us from this range. So when we kind of go around this wall, he'll attack us here and there, but I'm going to try and deal with these majors and I'm going to try and keep him where he's at because he's in a good spot. What I want to do is make sure that he stays in a distance that is, so I'm only dealing with one Jad at a time just to make it as not complicated as possible. So always prioritize what style Jad is attacking with as well, because you want to make sure that you don't get one shot. The majors will do damage to you, so you will have to be careful about that. I'm going to deal with him so I don't have to think about prayer flicking anymore while I deal with these other two majors, and then I'll go and get the final Jad. And just like that, I lost my familiar, so I'm going to make sure I do a better job at keeping this next one alive. All right, and now we are on the mage phases. So the rangers are going to be the off style here. So I'm going to get this ranger down as quick as possible while praying magic, and I'm going to Devo. And I have the bats on me as well. So bats, no good at all. Now I want to make sure that I'm keeping controlled here. I know it gets a little bit scary when it comes to dealing with all these ads, but I want to make sure that I keep these big guys where they're at because they have this like combust type effect that they will put on you with their auto attack. So you want to make sure that you don't have them attacking you with everything else. If they do end up attacking you, you want to make sure that you have Devo off cooldown, or you can swap to Reflect, or even Barricade will help out a lot. You just want to make sure that you are having complete control over the wave setup. So right now I could camp here as long as I want and just heal up, which I'm probably going to do, and just take advantage of the fact that nothing's attacking me right now and just get up to full. That way I can go in this with a little bit more safety. And then after this, I'm going to deal with these two mages. I'm going to deal with this Zek to the left of Zuk, this mage, and then I will deal with the final Zek over here. Now, when you are killing these, this is that combust effect that it puts on you. What I would recommend trying to do is sustain as long as you can before using freedom, because I have to deal with one more of these guys, and then this next wave is going to have 4 of these guys in every single corner. So what I'm going to try and do is I want to be back in that corner as much as possible. So I'm going to try and lure him closer so I don't have to surge as far. And I'm going to try and sustain using the, without using the freedom. Oh, look at that. I just used it. I would say sustain as long as you can though, because you're going to start off with a couple of these dogs and you want to make sure that the freedom lasts for the first dog as well, just to reduce your damage intake. Now here you want to make sure you don't go any farther south than what I am right now. Otherwise it'll lure this dog over and it'll make things a little bit complicated. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm actually going to Devo the rangers, and I'm actually going to try and kill the rangers. There we go. And I'm going to get this major, and this ranger's up next. And I'm going to pray mage. There we go. We are all good. I'm going to heal up a little bit. Make sure I heal up my familiar as well. It's all about controlling the ads here. Just making sure you have control over the instance, essentially. If things aren't attacking you, then you are safe and you can identify the setup that you have. Like right now, I know how I'm going to deal with this. I'm going to go ahead and I could either go lure this guy over and keep these 2 where they're at, so that way he is all the way over here, which I might end up doing. Or I can do what I normally do with range and mage, and I'll start over here and work my way around this way. So we'll kind of see what makes more sense after I heal up a little bit. All right, so thinking about how this is actually going to play out, it doesn't matter what way I go, because the majors are going to spawn on the east, south, and western sides, and they're going to be idle. They're not going to move. So what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to barge on the first mage and burst it down as quick as possible, and then deal with the special mages so I can actually continue on the fight. So we'll kind of see how that goes when I get there. All right, this wave's done. I'm going to freedom, and I'm going to start right over here, right where the magic guy is going to spawn. And I missed the barge because I was too close, but it's okay. So I'm actually going to Devo, and I'm actually going to just lure a lot of these mages over and just deal with them because they do a lot of damage, and I want to get them down. This is where I'm going to start chugging some food a little bit, probably. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go for getting a reflect off and then just dealing with these guys a little bit by little. So I'm going to build up. I'm going to start with a resonance. There we go. It's another one that's going to be down. reflect, and then this should ideally be easier. You do have to be careful of the big majors because they have a very far attack range. Now I only have 1 dose of Elder Overload left. I'm gonna just hold on to it because I want to make sure that I have it for Zuk at the very least. So I'm going to do my best to not use Bruise. So I'm going to take it off my bar because I don't want to be nerfing my stats. Nice. That challenge wave is done. And now what I'm going to do is not only build up to 100% adrenaline on Zuk, but I'm going to soul split because it'll heal me up a little bit as well. What I would say here is maybe don't use your adrenaline potion if you can avoid it. Because you want to make sure that you have enough adrenaline to go into a barricade for this next part. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm not going to Zerk. I'm just going to do a non-Zerk rotation on Zuk, and hopefully I can one-cycle it. Otherwise, I'll have to deal with all the mages again, which I would prefer to do that than to not have a barricade for the challenge phase. All right, so I have to deal with all the mages again, which is no big deal because I took my time. So I'm going to clear as many of the normal adds as I can before I go and deal with the specials and lure them appropriately, and then I'm going to Devo. All right, so I'm going to heal up a little bit. I'm going to build up my adrenaline to 100% because Zuk only has like 1 or 2 hits before he phases. So, I mean, I'm not going to Zerk, I'm not going to do anything special. I'm just going to try and use basics to get him down because I want to make sure, like I said, I can barricade for the special wave here. And while I'm in here, I'm going to while I'm waiting for all this, I'm going to spawn a Prism of Restoration. That way my familiar can heal up. All right, then I'm going to swap to my shield, and then I'm going to wait till I see an attack animation, and then I'm going to barricade. There we go. If my barricade runs off before the animations finish, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Res, and that will prevent any damage from happening, and I'll still get the challenge. Okay, so now we have the triple challenge, or we have the triple Jad phase. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chill in this corner just like I did with the double Jad phase, and I'm waiting for this guy to come over, and I'm going to deal with this Jad first. So I'm going to bait the first auto attack, and then I'm going to get right into melee distance, and then just, go from camping, praying melee to deflecting whatever other style he's attacking with. So that guy is down, and now we are dealing with the second Jad, which is the same one that we dealt with in the order before. And then we're going to deal with this one over here. Now you can get a free full heal from Jad as well if you just snipe a res on one of his autos. Of course, only do that if you're comfortable. There we go. Now I'm going to build up a little bit on Zuk, and I'm probably going to be getting a 2-cycle Harak in here. So I'm just kind of expecting that right out the gate. The reason why is because I'm saving my overload. Or this actually might be a 3-cycle. We'll see. I'm going to have to chug some food here though, because I just totally missed that bombardment. Oh no. Okay. So I am going to be playing it a little bit safe here. I'm going to go ahead and swap to a Vampirism aura, because my Penance aura was almost out and I wanted to get a little bit of healing here. And so what I'm doing here is I'm just prioritizing clearing the tentacles around the areas that the Harakin would be. You do have to just be careful of bombardments because they will do a lot of typeless damage and they will drain your prayer or drain your adrenaline like crazy. So we have the Harakin over here, and he's going to be in a tough spot to deal with, so I might actually have to chug some food, reflect, and I actually might have to deal with a couple of these tentacles. I'm probably gonna have to overload, so it might not be overloaded for Zuk. Yeah, I'm gonna deal with these tentacles, unfortunately. All right, we're in a good spot for the Harakin, and I'm trying to juice my familiar for all the heals that I can because I'm going to be out of food soon if I chug all my food. Yeah. Okay, so the next cycle on the Harakin, we will get that. I'm going to go ahead and put my bruise back on my bar. And as you can see, I'm just taking my time. It does get a little bit crazy here and there. It's not impossible. It is tough. I'm not going to lie and say it's easy, but you just got to be patient and don't be afraid to chug your food when you need to, but make sure that you are relying on your familiar more than anything else because that is what's going to save you so much food. All right, I am going to reflect here. Here we go. I'm gonna move around a little bit so I can res this hit. Attack for melee. Oh, and it looks like I am going to have to get bruise off my bar again. Okay, I'm gonna have to be quick about this. All right, and I'm gonna get my familiar healing up again. ranger. There we go. We're doing good. Yep, we are doing fine. We are doing fine. We're doing fine. Devo? Oh gosh, this is going to be tough. Okay, there we go. I'm spamming my familiar. Okay. All right, I am going to try and build up to a barricade. There we go. Yep, there we go, dude. This could be it. Oh, no way. Oh my gosh. Oh, dude. Okay. That was very, 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 very difficult. I'm not going to lie. That was incredibly difficult with the setup. I barely made it. I should have brought an extra overload. That would have helped a ton. Incense sticks would have made that totally possible. I probably could have gone farther if I brought a yak and I had a blood reaver at the end of the yak, so that I would have essentially 2 inventories of food and then a blood reaver to rely on after that. So, I probably chose a pretty inefficient way to do this. Well, you know, gear and stuff aside, but is it possible? Yes. Do I recommend doing it a little bit more efficiently than this? 100%. So maybe try the yak method. If you are in this kind of scenario, I would say do the yak method and put a reaver at the end of your yak. Spawn your reaver after your yak dies. If you made it this far into the video, I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching and supporting this channel. This is, like I said, a very lengthy video. So as always, if you'd like to support the channel even more, you can subscribe to the channel, like the video. And I also wanted to mention that the next series is going to be coming out very, very soon. So I'm going to be posting a teaser of it on my Twitter this week. So make sure to follow me over on Twitter. You can find the link to my Twitter in the video description. Also make sure to follow me over on Twitch and join my Discord, because I'll be posting links and talking about it all on there as well. Anyways, guys, I'm Rheyo, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care.